Hello and welcome to Breakfast All Day, partners. I am Matt. Alonso and Christy are here. We old cowpokes are going to tell you about Concrete Cowboy, set in Philly, I believe.
Philly, yes.
Yeah.
Complete with jargon. I'm glad I had the titles on because I didn't know about a BOUL much, and still I've yet to get a straight answer about what JAWN means. Apparently, it can be
John.
I know, but it has multiple meanings from what I'm told from people who live there. Anyway, so this is based on a YA novel premiered at TIFF and is now screening on Netflix. Caleb McLaughllin from Stranger Things stars as Cole. He is a teenager who's been getting into troubles, being raised by a single mom. She reaches her last nerve and drives him to Philly and drops him off with his father, Harp, played by Idris Elba, whom he hasn't seen in a long time. Harp is involved in urban horseback riding and these stables that still exist in the middle of in the middle of town in Philadelphia, like the land that has somehow not yet been developed, where you can still keep stables, although their numbers are shrinking in the modern day. He's kind of torn between Harp's life and their neighbor Nessie, played by Lorraine Toussaint, but then also his good friend Smush, played by Duralde Jerome from When They See Us, is used to be involved in the horse stuff, but now he's involved in shadier dealings and he's on the street. And I kind of described Smush as the Robert De Niro in Mean Streets character. He's the charming, charismatic loose cannon who is doomed.
Mm-hmm.
And so, this is a movie that on its face is, I always remember in the movie The Opposite of Sex, Christina Ricci sarcastically refers to That Summer That Changed Everything movie. Mm-hmm. That like Cole is going to learn life lessons and, learn how to ride a horse and, become a better person by shoveling a lot of, shit in the barn and stuff. But this movie is just really charming and well acted and sincere. And so, yeah, even though these tropes, you still enjoy it. It's written and directed by Ricky Staub, and
it's his first feature.
Yeah, he co-wrote it with Dan Weiser, and it's just really well put together. And Elba's great, and Lorraine Toussaint, and like the young cast members. It just, and then this is the kind of movie also where you don't find out until the closing credits that several of the people in the film that you thought were just co-stars are members of the actual Philadelphia urban horse community,
the Fletcher Street Urban Riding Club.
Yeah, so kind of playing versions of their own life and bringing this whole level of sincerity to it. Method Man, as mentioned, is also in this film as a policeman who's a friend of the people in the neighborhood. Yeah, this movie at first, I kind of rolled my eyes a little at first, but by the end of it, I was won over. It's really charming, and it's a nice little story.
John, chiefly in eastern Pennsylvania, used to refer to a thing, place, person, or event that one need not or cannot give a specific name to, as in, these Johns are very inexpensive.
Yeah, it's a catch-all kind of phrase. So they talk about Johns, they talk about bulls, and apparently Pittsburgh has a completely different set of slang going. So well done, Pennsylvania.
Bull is like a boy. It's a Philly word for boy.
Yeah, they say it a lot.
This is a Philadelphian slang term used instead of saying guy. A lot of the time, a bull is someone's friend or peer. There you go.
Yeah.
I don't know any of that either.
We learned so much.
I liked this too because, as you say, it looks like total formula. It looks like totally safe, sweet, feel-good formula. But there's a really vivid sense of place here. I did not realize until the closing credits, same as you, that so many of these folks, so many of these writers are playing versions of themselves, kind of like in Nomadland, and they bring that authenticity to this story.
Or Linklater's Bernie, where at the end you're like, oh, that's not an actor. That's a...
Yeah. Well, that's clear. That radiates authenticity, the East Texas of it all.
Yeah, but some of them are actors. They just get the accent right.
Yeah. So, it's such a good cast, and it's so cool. We have two Stranger Things people this week between Millie Bobby Brown and Caleb McLaughllin. Yes. And it's cool to see him grow up. I mean, he's like 20 years old. And so
he's got like a mustache in this movie. Like, I don't know.
I didn't realize that I had known him from that until like 2/3 of the way into I was like, oh shit, that's the kid from Stranger Things.
That's Lucas. He's saying fuck a lot. This is disturbing. But he's very good. Idris Elba can just show up and like have swagger and like radiate charisma and regret at the same time. And just Lorraine Toussaint is always a badass. Like you're so happy to see every single person in this. And then the authentic actual people bring a lot of warmth and humanity as well. We've seen a few movies now in the past year or so that focus on the Black cowboy culture or have that as an element in it. Did you guys ever see Bull with Rob Morgan?
I remember when it came out, but I think
he's Spirit Award nominated, but that he's a Black rodeo guy. And then Miss Juneteenth. That is all part of life in Fort Worth. The whole, like, ornate, a very different depiction of it, like very ornately dressed and like part of the annual pageantry. I like how they liken this to Fast and Furious. They ride their horses a quarter mile at a time, and they have their annual shindig at their annual block party, and they ride. But I was quite charmed by this, and I believed it. In terms of the emotions feel true, and the sense of place feels true.
Yeah. I'm there with you. It feels, and there are places where it is somewhat formulaic, but there's also a grounded harshness to it. Like as Cole is walking around trying to find a place to stay, and like everybody's like, no, man, you fucked yourself, basically. And that was daring, because I think a lot of movies would have had somebody take pity on him in a way that would make everybody feel okay, and this movie doesn't really do that. I was impressed with this. There was one scene where they're trying to calm down a horse, and I kept thinking, I'm like, man, call that kid from The Rider, right? Yeah, I like this a lot. It's very much of a place. You really feel like you're there. It really does give you a lot of information. I love the guy sitting around the fire. A lot of them who are these real writers talking about the history. I mean, we forget, and it is glossed over, like cowboy, the word cowboy comes from, they used to call everybody who handled cattle like cowmen, right? But the boy part comes from white guys calling Black men boy. And so it became cowboy. And then it got changed later and meant like, oh, that was everybody on a horse. But like just the very term had this racist overtone to it. And I thought it was cool that the movie kind of addressed that. I think Method Man was good in this. I want to see him doing more roles where he gets to be somebody other than just the rapper. Like I thought this was he was interesting as a guy, and it was interesting how he and Smush, you find out, have connections to this kind of this
world,
group, this community that you really hadn't thought of from the get-go. I thought this was a really good movie, really effective in what it does. And yes, there is formula here, but the movie's so effective at playing it that it's kind of okay when it does that.
Okay. So what is your number, Matt?
7.5.
Okay. I'm saying 7.4.
7.3 for me.
There you go. So 7.4 is our number. Concrete Cowboy is now on Netflix.
Yes. So check that out. And thanks for checking us out. Like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us at BeFastAllDay on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/BeFastAllDay. We are recapping Disney Plus's Falcon and the Winter Soldier and a lot of other fun surprises coming up exclusive for our subscribers. So check that out, won't you? Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next time.